The late afternoon sun bakes the cracked asphalt of a grocery store parking lot. Shoppers hurry in and out, clutching bags, shielding their eyes against the glare. Among them is Naomi Carter, a young black mother in her early 30s. She pushes a cart with one hand, balancing grocery bags and guiding her 8-year-old son Jayden with the other. Her smile is faint but warm. Today, for once, things feel almost normal. But normal doesn't last long here. 2 police cruisers screech into the lot, tires screaming against the pavement. People pause mid-stride. Doors slam. Out step 2 uniformed officers, faces hard, eyes scanning, hands already hovering near their holstered guns. Naomi's chest tightens. She knows that look. She knows that posture. She's seen it before, on the news, in whispered stories, in too many funerals. "Hey!" one officer barks, his voice echoing across the lot. "You! Stop right there!" Naomi freezes. Shoppers glance nervously but keep their distance. Jayden clutches his mother's arm. "Mom?" His voice trembles. She forces calm into her tone. "It's okay, baby. Just stay beside me." The officers stride closer, boots striking hard against the pavement. The taller one sneers. "Got a call about a stolen car. You match the description." Naomi swallows hard. "This is my car," she says, nodding toward the faded blue sedan she's had for years. "I have the registration. My name's Naomi Carter." The second officer smirks. "Save it. We've heard it all before." Naomi feels her pulse hammer in her throat. She's holding nothing but groceries, her son's hand. Yet the way their eyes narrow, the way their fingers twitch near their weapons, tells her it doesn't matter. "Please," she says, voice cracking. "My son—" "Quiet!" the first officer snaps. His hand drops fully to his gun. "Put the bags down, now!" Naomi lowers the groceries slowly, keeping her movements deliberate. Jayden clings to her, tears welling. "Mom, don't!" "Shh," she whispers, brushing his curls with her free hand. "It's going to be okay." But even as she says it, she doesn't believe it. The officers circle her like predators. Shoppers watch from behind cars and carts, some pulling out phones but too afraid to get close. "You think you can just stroll in here, steal a car, and play innocent?" the taller officer says, his grin sharp and cruel. Naomi's voice shakes. "I didn't steal anything. Please, check my ID, check the plates." The second officer laughs. "Yeah, right. You people always got an excuse." Jayden gasps. Naomi feels fire in her chest at those words, but she doesn't move, doesn't raise her voice. Any wrong step could end everything. The taller officer suddenly jerks his gun free, leveling it at her chest. Gasps ripple across the lot. Naomi's breath catches. She shields Jayden instinctively, pressing him behind her. "No, please don't! Hands where I can see 'em!" the officer bellows, finger tightening on the trigger. Naomi lifts her trembling hands high, eyes locked on the barrel pointed at her heart. Shoppers cry out, some screaming for the officers to stop. Then it happens. Metallic clicks echo as both officers cock their weapons, aiming directly at her. The world slows. Jayden's sobs blur into the pounding of Naomi's heartbeat. She whispers a prayer, eyes squeezed shut. And then, a new sound cuts through the chaos. The roar of a motorcycle engine, low and powerful, ripping across the lot. Heads snap toward the noise. A black Harley screeches to a halt just yards away. The rider dismounts in one fluid motion, boots hitting pavement with precision. He pulls off his helmet, revealing a face carved by years of discipline, eyes sharp as steel. His presence radiates command. Naomi's breath catches. "Michael!" It's her husband. Chief Petty Officer Michael Carter, a decorated Navy SEAL, fresh from deployment. He was supposed to be home next week, but here he is now, walking toward her with deadly calm. The officers hesitate, startled by the sudden arrival. Their guns waver but remain aimed. Michael's voice booms across the lot, deep and controlled. "Step away from my wife." The taller officer sneers, trying to mask his unease. "This doesn't concern you, sir. Back off." Michael's stride doesn't falter. "You just aimed loaded weapons at an unarmed mother holding groceries and a child. That concerns me." Naomi's knees nearly buckle with relief, but fear still coils tight inside her. Jayden peeks around her side, eyes wide. "Daddy!" The officers exchange a glance. One mutters, "Who the hell is this guy?" Michael stops a few feet away, posture relaxed but every muscle coiled. "Chief Petty Officer Michael Carter, United States Navy SEAL, and you just made the worst mistake of your careers." The words slice the air like a blade. Shoppers gasp. Phones rise higher. The officers shift uneasily, sweat beading on their brows. Naomi stares at her husband, torn between terror and awe. The man who has faced war zones now stands between her and death, calm as if he's still on the battlefield. Michael lowers his voice, dangerous in its restraint. You have 3 seconds to drop your weapons before I make sure the whole world knows what you've done. The taller officer bristles, raising his gun higher in defiance. And then, Michael takes a single step forward, eyes locked, unflinching. The entire parking lot seems to hold its breath. The parking lot is silent except for the low hum of Michael Carter's voice. His words hang in the air like a live wire, dangerous and charged. You aimed guns at my wife, at my son. That ends now. The taller officer stiffens, trying to regain control. Put your hands where I can see them. You're interfering with an investigation. Michael doesn't move. His eyes stay locked on the man's trembling hands, the muzzle of the gun pointed at Naomi. That's not an investigation, he says evenly. That's attempted murder. Shoppers murmur nervously, phones filming. The atmosphere shifts, no longer just fear but outrage. Naomi holds Jayden tightly, whispering, Stay behind me, baby. Don't move. Her voice shakes, but her eyes never leave her husband. Michael slowly raises his hands, palms out, as if to calm the scene, but his presence radiates control. Listen carefully. I've been in more standoffs than I can count. I've faced men with far steadier hands than yours. And I can tell from the way your finger twitches, you're scared. Scared men make mistakes. The shorter officer snarls, trying to mask his own unease. Stop talking. Drop to your knees. Michael doesn't blink. No, you'll lower your weapons, and then you'll put in a call to your captain, right now. The taller cop scoffs. Or what? Michael's gaze hardens. Or this crowd will watch me dismantle you before you pull that trigger, and every second of it will be live-streamed to the world. Phones rise higher. The officers notice. Half the parking lot is filming. The pressure mounts. Naomi's knees are weak, but she steadies herself. She sees it in Michael's stance, the calm before a storm. He doesn't bluff. Not in war, not at home. Michael? She whispers, fear mixing with trust. He doesn't look back at her, but his voice softens. I've got you. Jayden clutches her waist, whispering, Daddy's here. The taller officer finally snaps. Enough! His gun jerks higher, aimed at Michael's chest. On the ground, now! Michael moves. It happens in a blur. He steps forward, twisting his body. His hand clamps around the officer's wrist, twisting it upward before the man can react. The gun clatters to the pavement. With his other hand, Michael drives his palm into the man's chest, sending him sprawling backward against the hood of the cruiser. Gasps explode from the crowd. Phones flash like fireworks. The shorter officer panics, raising his weapon toward Naomi. No! Jayden screams. Michael spins, his arm shooting out like lightning. He grips the barrel of the gun and wrenches it sideways, slamming his elbow into the officer's jaw. The man collapses to the ground, weapons sliding across the asphalt. Naomi pulls Jayden behind her, tears streaming. Relief battles terror in her chest. Both cops groan on the pavement, disarmed and humiliated. Michael stands over them, calm but coiled, like a predator holding back the kill. He doesn't shout, doesn't rage. His voice is low and controlled, the voice of command. You're lucky my son is here, he says. Otherwise, you'd learn what real consequences feel like. Shoppers cheer, others chant angrily at the officers. Shame! Shame! The sound rolls through the lot, building like thunder. Michael pulls a phone from his pocket, snapping photos of the officers on the ground. Name, badge number, department, I'll take them all, he mutters. The taller officer sputters, red-faced. You're under arrest. Michael crouches close, his words for the officer alone. You just threatened a child. You pointed a loaded weapon at a mother with groceries. The only one under arrest here is you. The man falters, realizing the truth. The crowd, the cameras, the evidence, it's all against him. Naomi rushes to Michael's side, gripping his arm. They were going to shoot me, she whispers. Her voice trembles, the fear finally breaking free. Michael cups her cheek, steadying her. Not while I'm breathing. Jayden buries his face against Michael's side, clinging like he'll never let go again. Police sirens wail in the distance. Reinforcements. Michael scans the horizon, jaw tight. It's not over. Their friends are coming. Naomi's stomach twists. What do we do? Michael's gaze sharpens. We stand our ground, but this time we make sure the truth doesn't get buried. Tasha, a young woman from the crowd with a live stream already running, pushes forward. 500,000 people are watching this right now, she says breathlessly. Don't stop. Don't let them cover this up. Michael nods once. Good. Let the world see everything. The cruisers arrive, lights flashing, sirens cutting. More officers spill out, some shocked to see their colleagues sprawled on the ground, others instantly hostile. The captain steps forward, face hard. What's going on here? Michael points to the disarmed cops. Ask your men why they drew on a mother and child in broad daylight. The captain sneers. You assaulted my officers. The crowd erupts in boos. Shouts ring out. They aimed first. She was unarmed. We saw everything. Dozens of phones are raised, live streams running. The captain's eyes dart nervously. He knows the optics are against him. Michael folds his arms, voice steady. You want to know what really happened? Roll the footage. Or better yet, ask the people. The crowd roars in approval. Naomi finally feels the shift. For once, the fear isn't hers alone. It's theirs. The cops. The truth isn't hiding in shadows anymore. It's out here, burning under the sun. Michael grips her hand, strong and sure. Stay close. This is just the beginning. The captain hesitates, torn between defending his men and the crushing weight of evidence around him. But before he can speak, one of the fallen officers spits blood and snarls. This isn't over. Michael's eyes narrow. You're right, he says coldly. It's not. And with the sirens still wailing, with the crowd chanting louder, the battle lines are drawn. The wail of sirens grows louder, multiplying as more cruisers pour into the parking lot. Red and blue lights strobe across the asphalt, painting Naomi, Michael, and Jayden in flashing colors. The crowd presses closer together, chanting louder, filming from every angle. Phones are up like a forest of glowing eyes. Michael stands with his hands folded across his chest, posture calm but unyielding. Beside him, Naomi holds Jayden tightly, whispering reassurances even though her own voice shakes. The captain strides forward, boots echoing, jaw set in stone. His eyes flick to the two humiliated officers still sprawled on the ground, and rage twists his face. You think you can assault my men and walk away? He snarls. Michael doesn't flinch. His voice is deep, controlled, steady. Your men aimed their guns at an unarmed mother and her child. The only crime committed here was theirs. The captain sneers. That's not what I see. The crowd erupts, shouting over him. We saw it. It's on camera. Check the footage. Dozens of live streams beam the confrontation to hundreds of thousands across the country. Michael raises a finger, pointing to the crowd. You don't have to take my word for it, ask them. The whole world is watching. For the first time, uncertainty flickers in the captain's eyes. Naomi feels her heart race, fear mixing with a flicker of hope. She squeezes Michael's arm. He doesn't look at her, but she feels the steady strength radiating from him. He's not just standing for her. He's standing for everyone who has ever been in her place. The captain regains his composure, barking orders. Secure the scene! Detain them! Officers begin to move forward, but the crowd surges, chanting louder. Protesters link arms, forming a human barrier between Michael's family and the approaching police. Justice now! Justice now! The chant booms, shaking the lot. Michael steps slightly ahead of Naomi and Jayden, his voice carrying like a command. Stand down! You pull one move against these people, and it'll be on every news outlet in the country before you can take your next breath. The officers hesitate. Cameras zoom in. The weight of scrutiny presses heavy. Then, a voice cuts through the chaos. Michael? Naomi turns sharply. A man pushes his way through the crowd. A tall figure in civilian clothes, but the way he carries himself speaks volumes. His presence commands attention even before he speaks again. It's Ethan Ramirez, one of Michael's former SEAL teammates. Naomi remembers him from deployments, from stories Michael told late at night. Ethan was supposed to be stationed across the country. Thought you could use backup, Ethan says simply, stepping to Michael's side. Michael smirks faintly. Good timing. The captain scowls. And who the hell are you? Ethan doesn't even glance at him. He folds his arms and addresses the crowd instead. This man is a decorated Navy SEAL. He stood on battlefields most of you couldn't survive 5 minutes in, and you think he's going to let his wife and son be gunned down in a grocery store parking lot? His voice cuts sharp. Not today. The crowd roars with approval. The captain looks cornered, but he doubles down. "Take them in!" he bellows again. This time, no one moves. The officers glance nervously at the phones, at the protesters blocking their way, at Michael and Ethan, two men radiating the quiet violence of warriors trained never to lose. One officer lowers his weapon first, another follows. Soon, nearly half the line falters, unsure. The captain's face reddens. "Cowards, you'll regret this!" Michael steps forward, closing the gap. His eyes lock onto the captain's. "The only one regretting anything will be you. You've lost control of your men. You've lost control of the city, and when the footage finishes circulating, you'll lose your badge." For a moment, silence crackles between them like static. Naomi's heart pounds. Jayden peeks up at his father with wide eyes, whispering, "Daddy's winning." She strokes his hair, whispering back, "He always does." But she knows this is bigger than a fight in a parking lot. This is only the beginning of a storm. Suddenly, more vehicles roll in. Not police, but unmarked black SUVs. The crowd gasps. Their engines rumble low, windows tinted dark. Men in tactical gear spill out, helmets low, rifles slung across their chests. Ethan mutters, "Not locals, private contractors." Michael's jaw tightens. They're here to clean up the mess. The contractors form a line, aiming to push through the crowd. Protesters scream in defiance but begin to falter. The rifles are real, not bluffs. Naomi's blood runs cold. "Michael!" He squeezes her hand once. "Stay behind me," then, louder, to the mercenaries. "You're pointing rifles at unarmed civilians. Step back before you make the biggest mistake of your lives." The contractors don't move. Their leader signals and the line advances. The crowd panics. People scream, scattering, some holding their ground with phones shaking in their hands. The standoff escalates from tense to explosive in seconds. Michael exchanges a quick glance with Ethan. Years of battlefield instincts pass between them without words. Ethan shifts his stance. Ready. Michael steadies his breathing. Naomi shields Jayden, her body trembling but her voice steady. "Whatever happens, baby, don't let go of me." Jayden nods, tears streaking his face. The contractors stop only a few yards away, rifles raised. The leader speaks through a mask. "This ends now. Step aside or we'll clear the area." Michael's voice is ice. "Try it!" The tension is unbearable. The crowd, the officers, Naomi, Ethan, everyone holds their breath. And then, a deafening noise tears through the air. Not gunfire, a helicopter. Its rotors thunder overhead, wind blasting the lot. Spotlights blaze down. Across its side, clear letters read, "Navy." The crowd erupts, phones shoot upward. Naomi gasps, "Michael, is that—" He nods once, eyes never leaving the mercenaries. Back up. The SEALs had come. The Navy helicopter roars overhead, rotors churning the air into a hurricane. Dust whirls, grocery bags scatter, car alarms wail. Protesters shield their faces from the gusts, phones still held high. The mercenaries freeze mid-step, rifles half raised. Their leader tilts his head up, eyes narrowing at the clear Navy stenciled across the fuselage. Spotlights cut through the night, bathing the parking lot in blinding white. Naomi clutches Jayden close, her hair whipping in the wind. "Michael!" She breathes, equal parts fear and relief. Michael doesn't move, his stance unwavering. "Stay low," he orders, voice calm against the chaos. The helicopter hovers, doors sliding open. Shadows of armed figures appear inside. SEALs, geared head to toe, rifles trained not on the crowd, but on the mercenaries. Their discipline is unmistakable. Ethan smirks, his voice barely audible over the thunder. "Now it's a fair fight." The mercenary leader raises a gloved hand, signaling his men to hold position. He shouts over the roar, "This is a civilian matter! Stand down!" A voice booms from the helicopter's loudspeaker. Steady, authoritative, it cuts through the storm. "This is Commander Brooks of Naval Special Warfare. Lower your weapons immediately. Any hostile action against these civilians will be considered an act of aggression against the United States military." Gasps ripple through the crowd. Protesters cheer wildly, the sound swallowed by the rotors. Phones capture every second, streams surging past millions of live viewers. The mercenaries shift uneasily, fingers tightening on their rifles. They aren't trained for this kind of public scrutiny. Their mission was cleanup, not open war with Navy SEALs in broad daylight. Michael steps forward, his voice low but razor sharp. "Last chance. Put them down." The leader hesitates. His men glance at one another, uncertainty rippling through their line. Naomi's heart hammers. She watches Michael like an anchor in the storm, steady and unbroken. Jayden buries his face against her, whispering, "Daddy's winning again." She presses her lips to his hair. "He always will." But her eyes stay fixed on the rifle still raised. Then, one of the mercenaries breaks. His weapon lowers, eyes darting nervously to the crowd. Another follows. The line cracks, discipline slipping. The leader curses, fury flashing in his eyes. He turns back to Michael. "This isn't over. You think you've won because you have backup? We don't answer to you." Michael's gaze doesn't waver. "You answer to the truth, and the truth is watching." He gestures to the hundreds of phones recording. "The whole world just saw you point rifles at women and children. Run if you want, but your faces are burned into history now." The crowd roars, chanting louder than ever. "Justice now! Justice now!" Suddenly, police officers who had hesitated earlier step back from the mercenaries, distancing themselves. Some even lower their own weapons entirely, unwilling to be lumped with men in black gear on the wrong side of history. The captain's face twists in rage. He shouts at his men, "Hold the line! Do as I say!" But his words fall flat. Cameras roll. The tide has turned. Michael seizes the moment. He raises his voice, not just to the mercenaries, but to every officer, every protester, every watching soul. You don't get to silence people in parking lots anymore. You don't get to terrorize mothers in front of their children. This ends tonight. Cheers shake the lot. Protesters pound fists against car hoods, voices unified. Naomi feels tears stream down her cheeks, not from fear this time, but from the overwhelming sight of strangers standing shoulder to shoulder with her. The mercenary leader, cornered and humiliated, signals retreat. His men back toward their SUVs, rifles lowering. Engines roar as the vehicles peel away, swallowed by the night. The crowd erupts, victory chants rolling like thunder. The helicopter circles once before veering skyward, vanishing into the horizon. Naomi clutches Michael's arm, trembling. I thought they were going to kill us." Michael finally allows himself a breath, wrapping her and Jayden both in his embrace. "Not while I breathe." Ethan claps his shoulder, eyes scanning the retreating SUVs. "They'll try again. You know that." Michael nods grimly. "I know." But the night isn't done. The captain, face flushed with rage, steps forward. "You think this circus changes anything? You're under arrest, both of you. Assaulting officers, interfering with an investigation." The crowd drowns him out with jeers and boos. Phones capture his every word, his every lie. Michael turns slowly, eyes locking with the captain's. "You watched your men aim at my wife. You let it happen. And you still want to call this justice?" The captain's voice cracks with fury. "You don't get to lecture me." Michael steps closer, his presence suffocating. "Then maybe a federal judge will, or a congressional hearing, or the Pentagon." The name lands like a bomb. Protesters cheer, phones explode with comments. "Call the Pentagon! Expose him! Justice for Naomi!" Naomi stares at her husband, realization dawning. He's not just fighting for her anymore. He's pulling this into a war the city's corrupt can't contain. Ethan leans in, voice low. "We need to move, before they regroup." Michael nods. "Safehouse?" Ethan smirks. "Already set up." Naomi blinks at them, overwhelmed. "Safehouse? What are you talking about?" Michael looks at her gently, but his voice is iron. "They're not going to stop, Naomi, not after tonight. And if they can't bury the truth, they'll come for us harder. We need to stay ahead." Her throat tightens. She glances down at Jayden, who looks up at his parents with wide, trusting eyes. For his sake, she nods. "Then let's go." As the crowd parts to clear a path, protesters chant their names, phones following their every step. Michael shields his family, Ethan covering the rear. The police don't move, caught between rage and paralysis, too afraid of the cameras to act. Naomi glances back once. The flashing lights, the retreating mercenaries, the furious captain, all of it burns into her memory. She knows tonight is just the beginning. The streets blur past as Ethan drives, hands tight on the wheel of an unmarked SUV. Naomi sits in the back, clutching Jayden to her chest, the boy finally asleep from exhaustion. Michael rides shotgun, scanning every mirror, every shadow. The city still pulses with tension. Sirens wail in the distance, helicopters buzz overhead, and protesters march through streets lit by phone screens and signs. Naomi stares out the window, seeing faces chanting for justice. For the first time in her life, she feels the weight of strangers standing up for her, but she also feels the shadow of the danger that follows. Ethan breaks the silence. "We've got a safe house on the east side. Former SEAL buddy of mine maintains it. Quiet, off-grid, stocked." Michael nods. "Good. We'll regroup there." Naomi leans forward, her voice sharp despite her fatigue. "How long are we supposed to live in hiding? This isn't war, this is our home." Michael turns to her, his eyes steady. "It is war, Naomi. Different battlefield, same stakes. They won't stop because they can't afford to. We embarrassed them. We exposed them. They'll come harder." Her throat tightens. She remembers the officer's sneers, the cold steel of guns aimed at her chest. "I just wanted to buy groceries," she whispers. Michael reaches back, squeezing her hand. "And you will again. But first, we end this." They arrive at a nondescript warehouse tucked in an industrial district. Ethan parks, scanning the lot. Clear. Inside, the safe house looks nothing like the exterior. Steel-reinforced walls, emergency supplies stacked neatly, racks of tactical gear. Naomi's breath hitches. This looks like a war bunker." Ethan shrugs. "That's because it is." Jayden stirs, blinking awake. "Where are we?" Naomi kisses his forehead. "Someplace safe, baby. Just go back to sleep." Michael crouches, meeting his son's eyes. "Listen to me, Jay. No matter what happens, you stay by your mom. You hear me?" Jayden nods, sleepy but serious. "Yes, sir." Later, Naomi sits on a worn couch, staring at the flickering TV Ethan pulled from storage. Every channel is the same. Footage of the standoff replayed endlessly. Headlines scream across the screen. "Navy SEAL confronts police. Mother and child targeted in parking lot. Who really holds power in our cities?" Naomi covers her mouth, overwhelmed. She never wanted to be a headline. She never wanted strangers chanting her name in the streets. Michael sits beside her, silent, watching the same footage. His face is unreadable, but his eyes burn. Ethan enters, holding a burner phone. "We've got a problem. Word is the mercs aren't retreating, they're regrouping. And they're not alone. Some of the department brass are backing them quietly. They want you silenced before the Pentagon gets involved." Naomi stiffens. "The Pentagon?" Michael exhales slowly. When SEALs are forced to intervene on U.S. soil, the chain of command takes notice. Tonight wasn't just about us, it's about accountability. And that scares people who profit from silence. Ethan nods grimly. "Which means they're coming. Hard. Probably tonight." Naomi stands, anger trembling in her voice. "So what? We just sit here waiting for them to come kill us?" Michael looks at her, calm but firm. "No, we prepare." He opens a duffel bag, revealing tactical gear. Vests, radios, sidearms. Ethan starts checking weapons, loading magazines with mechanical precision. Naomi's stomach churns. "This isn't our fight." Michael meets her eyes. "It became our fight the second they pointed guns at you and Jayden. If we run, they'll bury this story. But if we stand, we expose them. Completely." Naomi presses a hand to her chest, tears stinging. She wants to scream, to run, to wake up from this nightmare. But then she looks at Jayden, watching with wide, scared eyes. She realizes this isn't just about surviving. It's about making sure he grows up in a world where mothers aren't gunned down in parking lots. She wipes her tears and nods. Then we fight. The hours stretch. Michael and Ethan fortify the safe house, barricades at windows, surveillance cameras active, escape routes mapped. Naomi helps as best she can, handing tools, loading supplies, forcing herself not to crumble. Jayden sits quietly, clutching a toy soldier, watching his father move with steady precision. Finally, Michael kneels by his son again. "You see this?" He shows Jayden a small flashlight. "If things get loud, if you get scared, you hold on to this. Keep it with you no matter what." Jayden nods solemnly, gripping it tight. "I'll be brave like you." Michael smiles faintly, pressing his forehead to his son's. "You're already braver than I ever was." Night falls heavy. The warehouse hums with silence, broken only by the distant sound of helicopters and sirens. Naomi lies awake, Jayden curled against her. She can feel Michael moving silently through the safe house, a shadow on patrol. Her heart aches with fear, but beneath it, a strange pride glows. He isn't just her husband, he's a protector, a soldier who has chosen her fight as his battlefield. Near midnight, Ethan's voice crackles over the radio. Movement, east side, multiple vehicles. Michael's jaw tightens. It's starting. Naomi's pulse spikes. She clutches Jayden close. Ethan peers through a scope. At least a dozen men. Tactical gear. Not police. Mercs. Michael arms himself. Every motion efficient, practiced. He looks at Naomi. Stay down, no matter what you hear. Her voice trembles, but her eyes blaze. You come back to me. Michael kisses her quickly, then shoulders his rifle. Always. The first spotlight sweeps across the safehouse walls. Engines idle outside. Shadows gather at the doors. The battle has arrived. Engines idle like growling beasts outside the safehouse. Naomi presses Jayden's head against her chest, shielding him from the glow of headlights cutting through cracks in the reinforced doors. Her breath is shallow, her palms damp. Michael crouches near the barricade. Rifle steady, eyes sharp. Ethan watches the surveillance feed on a small monitor, his jaw tight. Figures move like shadows across the cameras. Mercenaries fanning out, disciplined but impatient. They're setting up a perimeter, Ethan mutters. 4 on the north side, 6 east, the rest circling. Michael nods. Standard containment. They want to choke us in before they breach. Naomi whispers, How many? Too many, Ethan answers without looking at her. But they're not expecting a fight. That's our advantage. Michael glances back at her. His voice is calm, commanding, but laced with tenderness. Take Jayden to the inner room. Stay low. No matter what happens, don't open that door until you hear my voice. Naomi's throat tightens. Michael, he steps closer, touching her cheek gently. Trust me. Her tears threaten, but she nods, guiding Jayden into the small reinforced room at the back. She kisses his curls. Stay brave, baby. Daddy's here. I'm scared, Jayden whispers. So am I, she admits, her voice cracking. But Daddy's never lost a fight. Back in the main room, Michael checks his gear. Ethan smirks grimly. Feels like Fallujah all over again. Michael's lips press thin. Difference is, this time it's our families behind these walls. A thud rattles the front door, then another. Metal clangs as mercenaries test the barricade. A voice booms from outside through a loudspeaker. Inside the building, you are surrounded. Surrender now and no one gets hurt. Michael chuckles under his breath. Classic bluff. Ethan leans near the monitor, watching their formation. They're stacking up breachers on the east side, ready in less than 2 minutes. Michael exhales slowly, centering himself. Then we make the first move. He signals. Ethan kills the interior lights, plunging the safehouse into darkness except for the faint glow of monitors. Michael slips into position near the east wall, rifle trained on the steel door. The mercs outside whisper orders, faint through the walls. Boots scuff, gear rattles. Then, an explosion. The east door buckles inward. Smoke and sparks spitting from the breach charge. Mercs flood in, shouting, rifles raised. Michael moves like a shadow. Controlled bursts of gunfire crack through the darkness. 2 mercs collapse instantly. A third spins, dropping his weapon as a round clips his shoulder. Chaos erupts. Ethan unleashes suppressive fire from the catwalk above, pinning them near the entry. Shouts and curses echo as the mercs scramble for cover. Contact east, one yells. Michael shifts to another angle, silent and precise. He drops another assailant before they can flank. His movements are cold, methodical. Decades of training unleashed. Naomi presses Jayden's ears against her chest as the gunfire rattles the walls. Tears streak her face. It's okay, baby. It's okay, she whispers, though her voice trembles. Inside the inner room, every shot feels like an earthquake. Jayden clutches the flashlight Michael gave him, whispering over and over, Daddy's coming back. The fight inside intensifies. Mercenaries lob smoke canisters through broken doors, filling the warehouse with choking clouds. Visibility drops. Shadows move within shadows. Ethan coughs, pulling down his night vision goggles. They want to blind us. Wrong move. Michael switches to thermal, eyes glowing faint green through the haze. We'll thin them before they regroup. He moves low and fast, striking from angles they can't predict. A swift takedown here, a clean shot there. Every motion is a message. This is his battlefield, not theirs. Outside reinforcements pile closer, pounding at the barricades. The safehouse shakes under the assault. Michael, Ethan calls from above, We're not gonna hold forever. Michael fires one last burst, dropping the breacher team before they can reset explosives. We don't need forever, we just need long enough. Long enough for what? Ethan asks, breath ragged. Michael pulls a small transmitter from his vest. Its blinking light glows like hope. For them to answer the call. Naomi hears his voice faintly through the gunfire. She clutches Jayden tighter. Answer the call? What call? A new sound cuts through the chaos, one different from the mercenaries' assault. Heavy rotors thundering closer. The air outside vibrates. Naomi lifts her head, eyes wide. No, it can't be. Back in the fight, mercenaries hesitate as a deafening roar shakes the ground. Shadows scatter. The ceiling rattles. Michael smirks grimly. Right on time. Through the haze of smoke and broken doors, bright beams slash down from above. Another helicopter, but larger, louder. On its side, bold letters gleam, U.S. Navy. Ethan laughs, a sharp bark through the smoke. You called in the cavalry. Michael reloads calmly. Told you we weren't alone. Outside ropes drop. Figures descend fast. SEALs, fully kitted, disciplined and precise. Their boots slam into the asphalt as they form ranks, weapons ready. The mercenaries panic, shouting disorganized orders. Their careful formation dissolves as fear spreads. Inside, Michael hears the commander's voice crackle over the radio. Safehouse team, we're on the ground. Sit tight, we've got you covered. Michael finally exhales, the first real breath since the siege began. Naomi, still in the inner room, clutches Jayden and whispers with relief. They came. They really came. But Michael knows it isn't over. Mercenaries still occupy the building. Civilians outside are still in danger. And the men pulling these strings aren't done yet. He signals to Ethan, voice steady. We push, now, before they regroup. Together they move deeper into the smoke, shadows hunting shadows, determined to end the siege before dawn breaks. The safehouse groans under the weight of smoke, gunfire, and chaos. Metal beams rattle as another round of shots echoes through the warehouse. Naomi clutches Jayden in the inner room, both of them pressed to the floor as dust rains from the ceiling. Every sound feels closer than the last. Outside, the SEAL reinforcements fan across the lot, rifles sweeping, boots pounding. Their precision is unmistakable. Teams move in pairs, cutting off escape routes, forcing the mercenaries inside into a trap. Michael and Ethan move through the haze like predators. Every corner, every shadow could hide a threat, but they don't hesitate. Ethan hisses through his mic. Too near the southern wall, closing fast. Michael pivots smoothly, unleashing a controlled burst. One merc drops instantly, the other dives for cover but doesn't make it before Ethan's rifle cracks. Clear, Michael mutters, his voice calm as stone. The mercenaries shout in disarray, their coordination breaking down under the pressure of SEAL tactics. Smoke still curls through the air, but the chaos inside is no longer theirs to command. Naomi whispers to Jayden, her heart racing. It's almost over, baby. Just hold on. Jayden clutches his flashlight like a lifeline, eyes wide. Daddy's out there, isn't he? Yes, Naomi whispers, tears sliding down her cheeks. And he's not alone anymore. Ethan ducks behind a steel crate, reloading. They're trying to regroup near the west exit. Michael nods. Then we cut them off. The two SEALs advance, stepping over spent shells and fallen bodies. Their eyes are sharp, their breathing steady, their movements precise. At the west end of the safehouse, 3 mercenaries try to force the heavy emergency doors. Their leader barks into a radio, desperate. We need extraction now! Michael's voice booms from the shadows. Too late! The mercs whirl, rifles raised, but they're seconds too slow. Michael's fire drops the leader. Ethan disables another, and the last mercenary freezes, weapon trembling in his grip. Michael steps closer, rifle still trained. Drop it! The man hesitates, sweat streaming down his face. He's young, too young to be caught in this. Finally, he lets the rifle clatter to the floor, raising his hands. Ethan secures him quickly, kicking the weapon away. One alive, he mutters. Might be useful. Michael's jaw tightens. For now. Outside, the SEAL reinforcements tighten their perimeter. Flashbangs detonate near the entrances, stunning any remaining mercs still resisting. The commander's voice echoes through the comms. Interior sweep, secure civilians. Michael moves swiftly toward the inner room. Naomi startles when the door swings open, but relief floods her when she sees him silhouetted in the smoke, eyes sharp but alive. Michael! She cries, rushing forward with Jayden in her arms. He pulls them close, holding them tightly for one precious second before pulling back. "We're not done yet. Stay behind me." Jayden clings to his neck, whispering, "I wasn't scared, Daddy." Michael smiles faintly, pressing his forehead to his son's. "You were brave. Braver than most men I've served with." Ethan approaches with the captured mercenary, his hands zip-tied, face pale under the harsh light. Naomi's stomach churns at the sight, but Michael's eyes burn with purpose. "Who sent you?" Michael demands. The man shakes his head quickly. I can't." Michael steps closer, his voice low and cold. "You pointed rifles at my family. You think silence is going to save you?" The mercenary stammers. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. We were told it was just containment, scare tactics. But someone higher up ordered escalation." "Who?" Michael presses. The man hesitates, then blurts, "Your city's own police brass. They're on payroll. And someone bigger. Military contracts, federal ties. I don't know names. I just follow orders." Michael's stomach knots. He glances at Ethan, who shakes his head grimly. "Goes deeper than we thought." Naomi's voice cracks with anger. "So they'll keep coming, no matter what happens tonight." Michael squeezes her hand. "Then we take the fight to them." Suddenly, the radio crackles. The SEAL commander's voice cuts through. "Enemy vehicles retreating south. Pursuit not authorized. Orders are to hold position and secure civilians." Ethan curses under his breath. "Politics, they're letting them go." Michael grinds his teeth. "Because someone wants this buried." Naomi's fear flares again. "So what do we do? We can't hide forever." Michael looks at her, his eyes blazing with resolve. "We don't hide, we expose them. Publicly, undeniably." He gestures toward the phone still streaming outside, the crowd of protesters that has only grown larger. They wanted silence. Instead, they handed us a stage. The SEAL team secures the warehouse, escorting Naomi and Jayden to safety under heavy guard. Protesters cheer wildly as they emerge, chanting their names, waving signs. Cameras flash like lightning, recording every step. Naomi shields Jayden from the blinding lights, overwhelmed, but she sees something she never expected. Hope. Michael raises his voice, addressing the crowd. "Tonight they tried to silence us with bullets. They tried to bury the truth with force. But you stood, you filmed, you shouted, and the truth is alive because of you." The chant rises again. "Justice now! Justice now!" Ethan leans close, voice low. "You just painted a target on your back." Michael watches the crowd, Naomi at his side, Jayden clinging to his hand. "Good," he says flatly. "That means they'll come for me, not for them." But Naomi knows better. She sees the determination in his face, the storm gathering behind his eyes. The men who came tonight won't stop. The brass in their city won't stop. Whoever funds them won't stop. And as much as Michael pretends otherwise, she knows. This fight will consume all of them. The only question left is, how far will they have to go before justice is real? The safehouse is quiet now, but only on the surface. The air still smells of smoke and cordite, the metallic tang of gunfire clinging to every wall. Naomi sits on a cot, holding Jayden close. The boy finally sleeps, his tiny hand wrapped around the flashlight Michael gave him. She brushes his curls gently, watching his chest rise and fall. Michael and Ethan sit at a steel table across the room. Between them lies the captured mercenary, wrists zip-tied, face pale. The man won't meet their eyes. Ethan breaks the silence first. "So what now? We can't sit on this forever. The suits funding these guys will spin their story before sunrise." Michael leans forward, eyes sharp. "Then we don't wait. We take it public. Our words, his confession, the footage from tonight. Everything." Naomi looks up sharply. "Public? Michael, that puts a target on all of us." "There's already a target," Michael replies evenly. "The difference is, if we stay quiet, they erase us. If we speak, we make it impossible to bury." Ethan nods slowly, pulling out a battered laptop from his gear bag. "We've got a hotspot rigged. Encrypted connection. If we go live, every major channel will pick it up within minutes, especially with how viral the footage already is." Michael turns to the prisoner. "You're going to talk. Names, orders, everything you know. If you don't, every man you served with tonight will go down alone, and you'll rot with them." The mercenary swallows hard. "You don't get it. These people, they don't just control contracts. They control judges, politicians, half the police force. If I talk—" Michael interrupts, his tone ice. If you don't talk, you'll still disappear. Only difference is, the truth goes with you. That's what they're counting on. You want a way out? Then tell the world before they silence you. The man trembles, but the weight of the words sinks in. Slowly he nods. Naomi presses a hand to her forehead. Michael, once this goes out, we can't undo it. We'll be hunted, all of us. Jayden? Her voice cracks. Michael kneels beside her, his hands warm against hers. I know, but we're not just fighting for us anymore. We're fighting so no mother has to stand where you did tonight, staring down the barrel of a cop's gun. Naomi's eyes brim with tears. She wants to resist, to demand another way, but deep down she knows he's right. She saw the crowd, the chants, the hope sparking in strangers' eyes. If they don't carry this forward, it all dies here. Finally, she nods. Then let's do it. Ethan sets up the laptop, angling the small camera toward Michael. The mercenary sits beside him, visibly shaken. Naomi reluctantly steps into frame, Jayden still asleep in her arms. The live feed clicks on. Within seconds, chat windows explode with comments, thousands joining, then tens of thousands, the number skyrocketing. The footage from earlier already primed the world. Now everyone waits for answers. Michael leans forward, voice steady, gaze locked on the camera. My name is Chief Petty Officer Michael Carter. Tonight, my wife and son were nearly executed in a grocery store parking lot by corrupt officers working alongside private mercenaries. The crime? Being black in America. The chat floods instantly. We saw it. Justice. Protect them, Michael continues, his words deliberate. When I confronted them, they tried to silence us with bullets. When that failed, they sent contractors to erase us in the dark. They failed again. But this fight is bigger than my family. It's about every family who's been told their lives don't matter. Naomi squeezes Jayden tighter, her eyes shining. Michael gestures to the mercenary. This man served among those attackers. He has something to say. The mercenary shifts nervously, but Michael's glare anchors him. Finally, he clears his throat, voice shaking. We were hired, not just by rogue cops, city brass, contractors with federal ties. We were told to scare civilians, keep them quiet. Tonight, the order changed. To kill if necessary. I can't say names, but it reaches higher than you think. The chat erupts again, people demanding investigations, tagging officials, flooding social platforms with clips. The feed spreads like wildfire. Ethan leans toward the mic. This isn't conspiracy, this is proof. And if they come again, it won't just be us waiting. America is watching now. The stream continues for nearly 20 minutes, Michael outlining the events step by step, Naomi's trembling voice adding her perspective, Ethan providing tactical confirmation. By the time they end the feed, the viewer count tops 2 million. Clips scatter across every major network within minutes. When the laptop finally closes, silence settles heavy in the safehouse. Naomi exhales shakily. There's no going back now. Michael pulls her into his arms. Good, now the fight's on our terms. But outside, engines rumble again in the distance, not mercenaries this time, but city police units moving toward the perimeter. Blue and red lights dance against the warehouse walls. Ethan peers out a narrow slit window. Looks like the brass didn't like our broadcast. They're mobilizing fast. Michael's jaw tightens. Then they just confirmed everything we said. Naomi grips his arm, fear returning. What do we do? Michael lifts his rifle, calm as always. We hold until daylight. By then, the world will already have chosen sides. And as the sirens grow louder, Naomi realizes the truth. Tonight's battle may be over, but the war for justice has only just begun. The sirens outside grow louder until they surround the safehouse. Blue and red lights flash through the cracks, strobing across Naomi's face as she rocks Jayden in her arms. The boy stirs but doesn't wake, exhausted from fear and adrenaline. Michael stands by the barricaded door, rifle steady, posture unyielding. Ethan watches from the upper catwalk, scanning the perimeter with a scope. Dozens of police cruisers now block the streets, officers spilling out in waves. Their radios crackle, their boots shuffle, but their formation looks hesitant, uncertain. Naomi whispers, "It's them again, isn't it? They won't stop until—" Her voice falters and she clutches Jayden tighter. Michael shakes his head. No, these aren't mercenaries. These are uniforms. The department brass trying to clean up their mess. Ethan mutters darkly, problem is, they've got numbers. Even with SEAL reinforcements outside, if command authorizes a raid, this building won't hold. A booming voice erupts through a police loudspeaker. This is the Metro Police Department. Step outside with your hands raised. You are under arrest for assaulting officers and inciting violence." The words echo through the steel walls. Naomi's heart races. Arrest? After everything? After they tried to kill us? Michael doesn't flinch. His voice is calm but carries iron. It's not about arrest. It's about optics. They know the broadcast is spreading. They want to paint us as the criminals before the public chooses sides. Ethan shakes his head. Bad strategy. Public's already watching. One wrong move and these cops are finished. Michael smirks faintly. That's what makes them dangerous. Cornered men will burn a city to save themselves. Naomi feels trapped. Every option seems like death. Stay inside and risk being stormed. Step outside and risk execution. She looks at Michael, fear in her eyes. What if they fire on us anyway? What if the cameras don't matter? Michael meets her gaze, steady and sure. Then the whole world sees exactly who they are. Either way, we win. The radio crackles again, this time from the SEAL commander outside. Carter, situation's escalating. Local PD setting up breach lines. Orders from above are murky, but they want to push. Michael responds, voice low. Copy that. Hold your perimeter. Don't fire unless fired upon. Cameras are our weapon tonight. Naomi blinks. Cameras? Ethan nods toward the windows. Outside, the protesters are still there. More of them now, spilling into the streets, chanting with growing fury. Many wave signs. Others live stream the standoff, their voices echoing into the night. Hands off the family! Justice now! We saw the footage! Their chants rise louder than the sirens. Naomi feels a lump in her throat, strangers standing between them and annihilation. Michael turns back to the table where the captured mercenary sits. Your bosses think they can twist this. Time to make sure they can't. He drags the man closer to the camera again, flips the laptop open, and starts a second live stream. Within minutes, tens of thousands flood back in, the feed already trending from earlier. Michael addresses the lens. They're outside right now, claiming we're criminals. But you saw what happened. You know the truth. And if they breach this building tonight, understand this, they're not coming for justice. They're coming to silence it. The chat explodes. We're watching! Don't let them in! Protect the family! Naomi sits just off camera, Jayden in her arms, whispering, please let this work. Outside, the officers tighten formation. Shield units advance slowly, their heavy boots stomping in rhythm. Protesters link arms, forming human barricades. The scene looks more like a battlefield than a city street. Ethan peers through the scope. They're tense, trigger fingers itching. One spark and this place goes up in flames. Michael's jaw tightens. He lifts his mic. Commander, you copy? Copy. If they move, you make it clear the Navy will not fire on civilians. But if they touch this building, you hold the line. There's a pause, then, understood. Naomi's heart pounds as she hears another loudspeaker outside, this one angrier. You have 1 minute to surrender or we will enter by force. The protesters erupt in outrage, chants louder, phones raised. Some scream directly at the police lines. You'll be on camera forever. You touch them, you're done. Jayden wakes, frightened by the noise. Mommy, what's happening? Naomi forces a calm smile she doesn't feel. People are protecting us, baby. That's all you need to know. Inside, Michael looks at Ethan. They're bluffing. They can't risk it with the world watching. Ethan raises a brow. And if they're not bluffing? Michael chambers around. Then we hold until the truth wins. Seconds tick down like thunder. The police shields inch closer. Protesters scream louder. The air outside feels electric, charged with fear and rage. Naomi holds Jayden close, praying silently. And then, it happens. One officer shoves a protester hard. The crowd surges. Phones capture everything. Chants turn into screams as people push back. The police line wavers. Ethan whispers, "Here we go." The captain himself steps forward, face red with fury, shouting into the loudspeaker, "Enough of this circus! Move in now!" But before his men can obey, another voice cuts through the night, deep, commanding, amplified by a different loudspeaker. "Stand down!" Everyone freezes. From the far side of the street, new vehicles arrive, sleek, black, bearing the unmistakable seal of the Pentagon. Soldiers in formal uniforms step out, led by a towering general whose presence silences even the angriest shouts. Naomi's eyes widen. Michael, who is that? Michael stares, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. That, he says softly, is the man who trained me. The crowd goes silent as the black SUVs stop in the middle of the street. Their doors open in perfect sequence, and soldiers step out with crisp precision. At their center strides a man towering over the rest, broad-shouldered, gray-haired, his uniform heavy with medals. His very presence radiates authority. The police captain, still clutching his loudspeaker, falters as the general approaches. His voice cracks with forced bravado. "This is a local matter, General. We have jurisdiction here." The general doesn't slow his stride. His boots thud against the pavement, each step silencing more of the jeers and chants. He stops only a few feet from the police line, his gaze like steel. "Jurisdiction?" the general thunders, his voice carrying over the entire block. "You've turned this city into a war zone against your own people. You point rifles at mothers and children, you align with mercenaries on American soil, and you dare speak to me of jurisdiction?" The crowd erupts in cheers. Phones rise higher, streaming every word. The captain pales, stammering. With all due respect, sir, we were following illegal orders," the general snaps. "Orders that end tonight." Inside the safe house, Michael listens through the cracked door, his jaw tight. Naomi clutches Jayden close, eyes wide with disbelief. "Michael," she whispers. "Who is he?" Michael exhales slowly. "General Marcus Steele, my old commanding officer. If he's here, things just shifted." Ethan smirks from the catwalk. About time someone with stars on his shoulders showed up. Outside, Steele turns his gaze directly toward the safe house. His voice booms again, steady and deliberate. "Chief Petty Officer Carter, step out. You and your family are under the protection of the United States military." The protesters erupt again, chanting Michael's name now, their faith renewed. Naomi looks at him, torn between fear and relief. Michael squeezes her hand gently. "We have to go out. This is the opening we've been waiting for." Naomi swallows hard. "But what if it's a trap?" Michael meets her eyes. "If Marcus Steele says we're safe, then we're safe. He's the only man I ever trusted with my life." The barricade creaks as Michael slowly unbolts it. Naomi carries Jayden, staying close to Michael's side. Ethan follows, rifle slung but ready. The door opens, smoke from the earlier siege curling into the night air. The crowd gasps as they emerge. Michael tall and steady, Naomi weary but unbroken, Jayden clinging tightly to her. Phones flash like lightning. Chants of "Justice now" roll across the block like thunder. Michael locks eyes with General Steele. For a moment, time freezes. Two soldiers bound by history, standing on opposite sides of a storm that's about to break. Steele gives a single nod. "You held the line, son, just like I trained you." Michael salutes instinctively. "And you showed up, just like you always promised." The police captain bursts forward, veins bulging. "General Steele, you can't just waltz in here. These people attacked officers, incited riots." Steele turns his glare on him, eyes like fire. "What I see are officers who aimed rifles at a woman and her child. I see mercenaries in civilian streets, and I see a department willing to kill its own citizens to cover its corruption." The crowd roars, protesters pointing and jeering at the police line. Steele continues, his voice booming like artillery. "You're done here, Captain. Effective immediately, all Metro Police units will stand down. Any officer who disobeys will answer to me and to the Pentagon." The police line wavers, some lower their weapons. Others glance nervously at cameras recording every angle. The captain sputters, but his voice drowns under the chants of thousands. Naomi's knees nearly give way. Tears spill as she realizes, for the first time, they might actually survive this night. Jayden buries his face in her shoulder, overwhelmed by the noise. Michael steadies her, whispering in her ear, "It's not over, but we just gained ground." Ethan leans close. "Yeah, but the brass behind this? They won't vanish overnight. Tonight's just Act 1. Michael nods grimly. "Which means we play the long game." Steele raises his hand, silencing the crowd. "This family is under federal protection now. No harm will come to them, and I give you my word, those responsible for tonight will face consequences." The protesters cheer, many breaking into tears. For them, this isn't just about one family. It's about every injustice they've endured. Steele gestures toward Michael. "Chief Carter, speak to them. They need to hear from you." Michael steps forward, Naomi at his side, Jayden still clinging tightly. He raises his voice, projecting strength. "You saw what happened tonight. You saw who drew their weapons first. They wanted fear, but instead you gave them truth. You gave them a voice they couldn't silence. And now with General Steele standing here, we're not alone anymore. This fight belongs to all of us. The chants rise again. Truth, truth, truth. Naomi looks at her husband, pride shining through her exhaustion. For a brief moment, hope feels real. But as Steele signals his men to escort them toward the black SUVs, Ethan notices movement at the edge of the rooftops. Shadows shifting. His hand tightens on his rifle. Michael, we've got company. Michael follows his gaze. Through the flashing lights and chanting crowd, he sees them. Figures perched on rooftops, scopes glinting faintly in the dark. Not police, not SEALs. Snipers. Michael's blood runs cold. He pulls Naomi and Jayden closer, shielding them with his body. Steele notices the shift, his eyes narrowing. He barks orders instantly. Cover the rooftops, get them down now! The block explodes into chaos again. Protesters scream, SEALs raise rifles, police scatter. And Michael realizes, with chilling clarity, this wasn't a victory march. It was the next ambush. The cheers of the crowd curdle into screams as laser dots flicker across the walls and vehicles. Naomi gasps, clutching Jayden tighter, spinning instinctively to shield him with her body. Michael yanks both of them down behind a barricade of concrete barriers. Ethan's voice is sharp, urgent. Multiple snipers. Rooftops at 10 and 2 o'clock, maybe more. General Steele doesn't hesitate. He points to his men, his voice like a thunderclap. Cover the family. Lock down those rooftops. SEALs scatter with disciplined speed, rifles angled high, scopes scanning the dark. Spotlights snap upward, illuminating the silhouettes of armed shooters darting across roof lines. The protesters cry out, some diving for cover, others holding their ground with phones raised, still filming. Naomi squeezes her eyes shut, whispering over Jayden's hair, "Please God, keep him safe." Michael lays a hand on her shoulder. "Stay low. Don't move unless I say so." His own eyes are locked upward, calculating. The first shot cracks through the night. A bullet ricochets off the SUV beside them, sparking metal. Screams erupt. The crowd scatters in waves, but some brave souls remain, their cameras locked on, refusing to miss a second of the chaos. Ethan fires a sharp burst, suppressing a sniper ducking behind a chimney. "They're pros," he growls. "Not just freelancers, this is coordinated." Michael's jaw tightens. Then whoever sent them isn't playing games anymore. Steele crouches beside him, his voice low but urgent. "We need to move you now. Get Naomi and the boy in the SUV. My men will cover." Michael shakes his head. "We move now, we give them open sightlines. They'll take the shot." Another bullet hisses past, embedding in the barrier inches from Michael's shoulder. Naomi gasps, pulling Jayden tighter. Steele grits his teeth. "What's your play, son?" Michael scans the rooftops, mind racing. Years of combat training sharpen every thought. "Smoke, we blind them before we move." Ethan nods, already pulling canisters from his vest. "On your call." Michael glances at Naomi. Her eyes are wide, trembling with fear but unwavering. "You trust me?" he asks. She swallows hard, clutching Jayden. "With everything." Michael kisses her forehead, then signals to Ethan. "Now!" Ethan yanks the pins and hurls 2 smoke grenades into the street. Thick plumes billow instantly, cloaking the SUVs, the protesters, and the barricades in dense gray haze. Shouts rise as confusion spreads. "Move!" Michael barks. Steele's men tighten formation, shields raised. Michael grabs Naomi's hand, guiding her and Jayden low through the smoke. Ethan covers the rear, his rifle spitting short bursts at muzzle flashes from the rooftops. Bullets hiss through the haze, snapping against pavement and steel, but the smoke holds. Naomi's heart hammers so hard she thinks it might give out. She clutches Jayden, whispering into his ear, "Almost safe, baby. Almost safe." They reach the SUV. Steele himself yanks the door open, barking, "Get them in!" Naomi slides inside, pulling Jayden into her lap. Michael slams the door behind them, his eyes never leaving the rooftops. Ethan dives into the other side, cursing under his breath as another round slams into the armor plating. Steele climbs into the front passenger seat, shouting to the driver, "Go! Move now!" The convoy lurches forward, tires screeching, engines roaring. Protesters scatter to make way, many still holding cameras high, capturing the armored line pushing through smoke and chaos. Inside, Naomi rocks Jayden, trying to soothe him as he trembles. "You're safe, baby. Daddy's here." Michael's gaze flicks between the windows, watching the shadows streak past. He can't shake the cold weight in his gut. They knew we'd be here, knew Steele would come. This was an ambush layered on top of an ambush. Ethan grunts, checking his rifle, which means someone with serious reach is feeding them intel. Steele's face is grim, his jaw set like stone. I suspected corruption, but this is war being waged in our own streets. Michael meets his old commander's eyes, and they won't stop until either we're dead, or they're exposed completely. Suddenly, a deafening blast rocks the street ahead. Fire and debris erupt as an IED detonates near the convoy, flipping a police cruiser and scattering civilians. The SUV jerks violently, swerving to avoid the flames. Naomi screams, clinging to Jayden as the vehicle bucks. "Contact left!" Ethan shouts, spotting armed men emerging from alleys with assault rifles. Automatic fire rattles the SUV, bullets pinging off reinforced armor. Steele's men return fire, precision bursts cutting down attackers, but more keep coming. Michael snarls, his instincts roaring alive. They're not just silencing us, they're trying to erase every witness. Naomi's blood runs cold. The protesters, the cameras, the entire street filled with people, most unarmed, most defenseless. "Michael," she pleads, gripping his arm, "we have to protect them too." His eyes burn as he looks at her, then at Jayden, then back to the chaos outside. He knows she's right. If they drive away now, dozens, maybe hundreds will be slaughtered. And he can't let that happen. "Stop the convoy!" Michael roars. Steele spins on him, stunned. "What?" "Stop it! We make a stand here. If we don't, they'll massacre civilians. And every death will be blamed on us." For a moment, silence hangs. Then Steele slams his fist on the dash. "Driver, halt!" The SUV screeches to a stop, doors fly open. Michael leaps out, rifle ready. Ethan follows, sliding into cover. Steele's men spread in formation, shielding civilians as panicked protesters scatter and hide. Naomi stays in the SUV, holding Jayden tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. She watches her husband stride into the storm like he was born for it, unyielding, unstoppable. Gunfire roars again, but now Michael is the storm. He fires with ruthless precision, each shot calculated, cutting down attackers before they can aim at civilians. Ethan moves beside him, relentless, covering angles Michael can't see. Steele bellows commands, his men sweeping alleys, driving the ambushers back. Protesters cheer shakily from behind cover, their cameras still rolling. Even in terror, they refuse to stop filming. Naomi whispers into Jayden's ear, her voice breaking. "Look at him, baby. That's your daddy. That's why we're still here." But Michael knows the truth. This fight isn't ending here. Every attacker they face tonight is just another layer in a machine designed to bury the truth. And for the first time, he wonders how deep it goes, and how many lives it will cost before justice finally arrives. The street is chaos. Smoke thickens from the blast site, mingling with the sharp tang of gunpowder. Civilians crouch behind overturned vehicles, hands over their heads, while phones keep recording. Protest chants are gone now, replaced by screams, sobs, and the relentless crack of gunfire. Michael crouches behind a barricade of rubble, his rifle hot against his shoulder. Ethan kneels beside him, eyes sweeping the rooftops. Steele and his men have fanned out, forming a wide perimeter to shield the trapped civilians. Naomi peers from the SUV window, clutching Jayden close. Her breath trembles as she watches Michael fire again and again, his movements sharp, efficient, almost terrifying. She can't look away. This is the man she loves, but it's also the warrior she rarely sees. The Navy SEAL who lived through endless deployments, who carries scars no one else understands. "Contact front!" Ethan shouts. He lets loose a burst, dropping 2 gunmen rushing from an alley. Another group tries to flank from the left, but Steele's men cut them down before they can reach cover. Michael slams a fresh mag into his rifle. They're probing, looking for weaknesses. Ethan spits dust from his mouth. "They won't stop probing until we put them down hard." "Then we hit back," Michael growls. He rises from cover, unleashing a hail of precise fire at the rooftops. One sniper tumbles backward. Another vanishes behind a vent. The protesters cheer faintly, their shaky voices giving Michael strength. Inside the SUV, Naomi whispers to Jayden, rocking him gently. "Daddy's here. Daddy's fighting for us." Jayden's eyes glisten with tears. "Is he gonna win, Mommy?" Naomi presses her lips to his forehead. "He always does." But her own heart whispers a darker question. How many wins does a man have left before he breaks? The police captain, who earlier tried to lead the raid, scrambles behind his own cruiser, shouting into a radio. His men look shaken, caught between orders from their brass and the undeniable presence of Steele's forces. The captain's voice cracks as he demands reinforcements, but no one seems eager to answer. Steele notices, his face hardening. Their chain of command is fracturing. If we hold here, the whole department will implode. Michael smirks grimly. Then let's help it collapse. Ethan signals. 3 o'clock, more incoming. A van screeches into view, its side door sliding open to reveal masked shooters. They spray bullets wildly into the crowd. Protesters scream, ducking low. Michael bolts forward, sliding into cover near a burned-out sedan. He sights down his rifle, exhaling steady. 3 shots. 3 kills. The van screeches again as the last gunman slumps out the door. Steele's men swarm the vehicle, pulling the driver to the ground. Cheers rise from the civilians, shaky but real. For a moment, Naomi feels hope surge again. But hope is fragile. A deafening crack splits the night, another sniper. Michael feels the shockwave as a round slams into the concrete inches from his head. Dust sprays his face. He dives back into cover, breathing hard. Ethan snarls. That one's got military training. He's not missing by accident. Michael wipes grit from his eyes, fury burning. Then I'll find him. The SEAL commander radios through. We've secured the east flank, but they're still thick on rooftops west. Civilians can't evacuate yet. Steele responds sharply. Hold positions. No one moves until we clear overhead. Michael studies the rooftops, eyes narrowing. Then he spots it, a faint glint, the reflection of glass. He signals Ethan. Top floor, corner of the hardware store. That's our shooter. Ethan grins ferally. On it. They both rise, rifles aimed. Ethan lays suppressive fire while Michael shifts his angle. He steadies, breath shallow. Then, squeeze. The glint vanishes. A body collapses out of sight. The crowd erupts in relieved cheers, protesters chanting again, though their voices tremble. Naomi lets out a sob she didn't know she was holding. Jayden stirs, looking up at her with wide eyes. She forces a smile, brushing his cheek. See, Daddy's still winning. But Steele doesn't relax. He scans the rooftops, jaw tight. That wasn't the last. They've got layers. Whoever's orchestrating this doesn't care how many bodies hit the ground. Michael reloads, his hands steady despite the storm raging around him. Then neither do I. Naomi's heart twists at his tone. It's the voice of a man prepared to die if it means his family survives. She whispers, though he can't hear her, "Don't you dare leave us, Michael Carter." Suddenly, a deep rumble echoes down the street. All eyes turn. Armored trucks, black, unmarked, engines growling. They roll forward in formation, heavier than anything local police could field. Protesters gasp, phones trembling as they film. Ethan curses. Those aren't cops, that's private military. Steele slams his fist against the SUV hood. Contractors, same scum that hired tonight's shooters. They're escalating. The trucks stop abruptly. The rear doors swing open. Dozens of armed men spill out, clad in tactical black, faces hidden behind visors. The crowd erupts in panic, screaming as the new wave advances. Michael lifts his rifle, fire in his eyes. Round 2. The contractors fan into tight formations, moving with chilling discipline. Unlike the earlier chaos, this isn't a ragtag ambush. This is an army. Steele bellows commands. SEALs form firing lines, civilians are herded behind barriers, and Michael takes point at the center. Naomi watches from the SUV, her nails digging into her palms. Jayden whimpers and she kisses his temple. Hold on, baby. Just hold on. The first volley erupts. Bullets rain down, sparks flying as asphalt and metal shatter. Michael fires back, each shot deliberate. Ethan covers his flank, snarling curses between bursts. Steele's voice thunders above the chaos. Hold the line! Time blurs into flashes of fire and smoke. Protesters huddle, sobbing but refusing to drop their cameras. Streams pour onto the internet in real time. Millions are watching now. Michael feels every muscle burn, every nerve scream, but he doesn't falter. He locks eyes with Ethan, nods once. Together, they surge forward, cutting a path through the hailstorm of bullets. Steele's men push with them, shields high, driving the contractors back inch by bloody inch. And in the middle of it all, Naomi prays louder than the gunfire, clutching her son with trembling arms. The street burns like a battlefield. Smoke rises in thick, choking plumes. orange light from nearby fires casting the night into a hellish glow. Civilians are pressed behind overturned cars and barricades, their phones still raised, the courage of witnesses refusing to dim even as bullets crack overhead. Michael drops behind cover, his rifle barrel hot, sweat streaking down his face. Ethan slides in beside him, eyes wild but steady. They're dug in. Contractors aren't breaking. They're pushing like it's a deployment. Michael checks his magazine, grimacing. Then we break them first. Across the street, General Steele roars orders. Shields forward, push their flank. His SEALs advance in disciplined waves, taking the brunt of the contractors' fire. Sparks flash as rounds slam into their ballistic plates, but the line holds. Naomi watches from the SUV, heart hammering. Jayden clings to her neck, burying his face against her shoulder. Every gunshot feels like it shreds her chest. She whispers into his ear, her voice trembling. Daddy's right there. He won't let them win. Another volley erupts. Contractors pin down Steele's men with suppressive fire, while others advance with terrifying coordination. One kneels with a rocket launcher, sighting the convoy. Ethan spots it. Launcher, 4 o'clock! Michael doesn't hesitate. He vaults from cover, sprinting across open ground as bullets zip past. He dives into a roll, sights up, and fires. The contractor drops, the launcher clattering uselessly to the pavement. The crowd cheers, phones catching every second. Naomi gasps, pressing a trembling hand over her mouth. Michael slides back into cover, chest heaving. Ethan smirks grimly. Still got it, old man. Michael doesn't answer. His eyes are locked on the armored trucks at the rear. Take out their vehicles, their line crumbles. Steele joins them, crouching low. His face is grim, streaked with soot. Carter's right, but those trucks are plated. Standard rounds won't scratch them. Ethan digs through his pack, grinning. Good thing I didn't come empty-handed. He pulls out a tube-shaped launcher, compact but deadly. Michael raises a brow. Thought you retired that toy. Never leave home without it. Ethan shoulders the launcher, peering through the smoke. Steele barks orders to his men. Suppressing fire! Give him a lane! The SEALs unleash a deafening barrage, forcing the contractors to duck. Ethan steadies, breath even. He squeezes the trigger. A streak of fire arcs through the night. The rocket slams into the nearest truck, erupting in a thunderous blast. The vehicle flips, flames engulfing it. The shockwave knocks contractors sprawling, scattering their formation. The crowd roars with hope. Naomi clutches Jayden tighter, tears spilling down her cheeks. They're fighting back, baby. Daddy's fighting for us all. But hope always carries a shadow. From the second truck, a new figure emerges, massive, armored, moving with the confidence of a man who's led battles before. His helmet bears no insignia, his voice muffled but commanding as he rallies the contractors. Advance! Push them into the ground! Michael's stomach knots. This isn't a grunt, this is leadership. Skilled, ruthless. Target him, Michael tells Ethan. Ethan shakes his head. Too much cover, he's smart. Steele growls. That's their field commander. If he holds, they'll regroup. Michael's eyes burn. Then I'll take him myself. He breaks from cover before anyone can stop him, weaving through smoke and debris. Bullets chase him, striking sparks from asphalt. He dives behind a wrecked car only meters from the commander. The man turns, eyes locking with Michael's. Even behind the visor, Michael feels the cold calculation. This is no ordinary mercenary. They clash in seconds. Michael lunges, grappling the rifle from the man's hands. The commander strikes back with brutal force, armored fists slamming into Michael's ribs. Pain explodes, but Michael grits his teeth, countering with a knife he pulls from his vest. The crowd screams as they watch two shadows battle in the firelight, one fighting for money, the other for his family. Naomi's breath catches. She pounds the SUV window. Michael, no! Jayden stirs, eyes wide, sensing his mother's fear. Naomi holds him close, whispering desperately, Your daddy's stronger. He has to be. The fight is savage. The commander headbutts Michael, cracking his lip. Michael spits blood, slashing upward with his knife, cutting across the man's shoulder armor. Sparks fly, but it barely penetrates. The mercenary slams Michael into the wreck, trying to crush him. Michael gasps, vision blurring. Then he remembers Steele's words years ago. When you've got nothing left, that's when you dig deeper, because the mission doesn't end until you say it does. Michael snarls, summoning strength from the core of his soul. He drives the knife up, under the visor, straight into flesh. The commander jerks, choking, before collapsing hard onto the pavement. The crowd erupts in deafening cheers. Phones zoom in, streaming Michael standing over the fallen commander, blood on his face but fire in his eyes. Ethan rushes forward, covering him. "You good?" Michael wipes blood from his mouth. "Still breathing." Steele's voice booms across the chaos. "Their leader's down! Push them back!" The SEALs surge with renewed fury, civilians chanting wildly behind them. Contractors falter, some retreating, others firing blindly as discipline shatters. Naomi sobs into Jayden's hair, relief breaking through terror. "He did it! Daddy did it!" But as the contractors scatter, Michael knows this isn't victory. It's only survival. Whoever sent these men will send more. Stronger. Better equipped. He looks at the flames consuming the trucks, at the terrified faces of civilians clutching one another, at Naomi's tear-streaked face through the SUV window, and he vows silently, "I won't stop. Not until this ends. Not until justice is more than a word whispered in fear." The last shots fade into the night, replaced by the crackle of burning vehicles and the distant wail of sirens. The street looks like a war zone, glass shards glittering in firelight, debris scattered across blood-stained pavement. Civilians slowly emerge from cover, trembling but alive. Their phones are still raised, still recording. Naomi pushes open the SUV door, clutching Jayden to her chest. She stumbles toward Michael, tears streaking her soot-stained cheeks. When she reaches him, she throws her free arm around him, clinging like she'll never let go. "You're bleeding," she whispers, touching his split lip. Michael shakes his head, holding her and Jayden tight. "I'm standing. That's enough." Jayden buries his face in Michael's shoulder. "Daddy, don't leave us again." Michael swallows hard, his chest tight. "Never, buddy. I'm right here." General Steele approaches, his boots crunching over glass. His uniform is scorched, his jaw set, but his eyes soften as he looks at the family. "You held the line tonight. The world saw it." Michael nods, his gaze sweeping over the protesters, still chanting, still streaming. "Yeah, they saw. But so did our enemies. They won't stop here." Ethan slings his rifle, exhaling smoke from his lungs. Whoever sent those contractors had money, connections, and no fear of consequences. That means this runs higher than a dirty precinct. Steele glances at the burning trucks, his voice grave. "It runs all the way up. Politicians, corporate backers, men who profit off division. Tonight was just one move in their game." Naomi trembles, looking around at the wreckage. "How do we fight something that big?" Michael's eyes burn with quiet fire. "By showing the world everything. By making sure they can't hide behind shadows anymore." The protesters begin to approach, hesitant but determined. A young woman with a bloodied forehead steps forward, holding her phone up. Her voice shakes. We streamed everything. Millions are watching. They saw you protect us." An older man raises his fist. "You're not alone. We'll stand with you." Others echo, voices rising in a chorus. "Stand with them! Stand with them!" Naomi presses her face against Michael's chest, overcome. For the first time since the nightmare began, she feels a flicker of true hope. But Steele raises a hand, silencing the crowd. His voice carries, strong and uncompromising. "Listen to me. Tonight isn't the end. It's the beginning. Those trucks, those mercenaries, they were sent to wipe out witnesses. That means the enemy isn't afraid to escalate. If you go home alone, they'll pick you off one by one. But if you stay united, if you keep the cameras rolling, they can't erase the truth." The crowd erupts in agreement, chanting louder, phones lighting the night like stars. Ethan mutters under his breath, "Man knows how to work a crowd." Michael nods grimly. "And he's right. We can't go dark. Not for a second." Suddenly, Naomi gasps. She points toward the end of the street where more sirens approach. Not armored trucks this time, official police cruisers, lights flashing. The captain who fled earlier stumbles back into view, flanked by reinforcements. His face is twisted with rage, his voice booming through a loudspeaker. "This ends now. Drop your weapons and surrender the fugitives." The crowd boos, shouting over him. Steele steps forward, his glare like fire. "You've lost control, Captain. Stand your men down." But the captain only sneers. "You think you can override me with your medals? These streets answer to me." Michael's fists clench around his rifle. Naomi grips his arm, whispering, "Don't, not yet." The protesters surge forward, creating a living barrier between the family and the captain's forces. They chant louder, "We saw the truth! We saw the truth!" The captain falters, his men shifting nervously under the scrutiny of 1,000 cameras. One young officer even lowers his rifle, muttering, "Sir, maybe we should—" "Shut up!" the captain snarls, shoving him back into line. Ethan mutters, "He's cracking." Michael shakes his head. "He's dangerous." Cornered animals lash out. Steele raises his voice, steady and commanding. "Captain, your actions tonight are already live worldwide. Every unlawful order, every bullet fired at civilians, it's recorded. If you don't stand down, your entire department will collapse under federal indictment." The captain's face twists with rage. "I'll bury you for this." Before he can bark another order, a civilian steps forward, an elderly woman clutching a flag. Her voice rings out, raw but strong. "No, we've buried enough of our children already. No more." The crowd explodes in cheers, her defiance spreading like wildfire. Officers hesitate, eyes flicking between their furious captain and the tidal wave of public outrage. Finally, one by one, rifles lower. The line fractures. Some officers even step back, hands raised. The captain spins, betrayed. "You cowards! You—" A single voice cuts him off. Steele, calm and cold. "You're finished." SEALs move in, disarming the captain and taking him into custody. The crowd roars, chanting, "Justice! Justice! Justice!" Naomi collapses against Michael, sobbing with relief. Jayden whispers, "Did we win?" Michael kisses his son's head, holding him close. "Not yet, buddy, but tonight we survived." Ethan smirks wearily. "Survival's a win in my book." Steele's gaze hardens as he looks over the burning street, the broken lines of police, the shattered city. This was only one battle. The war is just beginning. And now, the enemy knows your names. Michael meets his eyes, unflinching. "Good. Let them." The flames are still smoldering when the first helicopters appear. Their rotors beat against the night air, whipping smoke into spirals that blot out the stars. Searchlights sweep across the broken street, cutting through fire and ash. Civilians raise their phones higher, capturing the ominous arrival. Michael stiffens, shielding Naomi and Jayden with his body. "They're here already." Ethan peers upward, grimacing. "Those aren't news birds. Look at the silhouettes, military grade. They're running black ops birds over a city street." Steele curses under his breath. That means someone high enough to bypass protocol wants this buried now. The captain was just a pawn. Naomi tightens her hold on Jayden, panic flickering in her voice. "We can't fight helicopters. How do we survive this?" Michael squeezes her hand firmly. "We don't outrun them. We expose them." The helicopters hover low, side doors sliding open. Dark figures with harnesses and rifles appear, ropes unfurling into the smoke-filled street. The crowd gasps as masked operatives begin rappelling down, moving with precision, no insignias marking who they serve. One protester screams, "Who are they? They're not police!" Another shouts, "Keep filming! Don't stop streaming!" Michael's eyes narrow. "That's our shield, cameras. If they fire into this crowd on live feeds, they can't hide behind lies." Ethan shoulders his rifle. "And if they don't care about hiding?" Michael smirks grimly. "Then they'll regret underestimating us." Steele rallies his men, barking orders. "Cover the civilians! Shields front! No one fires unless they fire first!" Naomi ducks back into the SUV with Jayden, trembling. She can feel the ground shaking with the helicopters above, the night vibrating like the edge of a storm. Michael kneels by the SUV window, locking eyes with her. "No matter what happens, stay down. Hold him tight. Trust me." Her voice cracks. "I always do. Just come back." He kisses her quickly before rising, rifle steady. The first operative hits the ground, boots crunching on glass. Then another. Soon a dozen line the street, forming a circle. They move like phantoms, scanning the crowd, weapons raised but not firing yet. One steps forward, clearly their commander. His voice is distorted through a mask, cold and mechanical. "Surrender the targets. The crowd may disperse unharmed." The protesters erupt in outrage. "We saw the truth. You won't take them!" Their chants rise louder, drowning the helicopter blades. The commander tilts his head, unfazed. "Final warning." Michael steps forward, rifle lowered but eyes blazing. "You fire into this crowd, the whole world will see. You won't bury this. You'll ignite it." The commander pauses. The silence is suffocating. Then, he signals. Gunfire erupts. Operatives unleash suppressive fire, not at civilians, but at Steele's SEALs. Bullets scream past, sparks raining as shields deflect the barrage. Civilians scream and scatter, though dozens refuse to lower their phones. "Move!" Steele roars, his men forming protective arcs around the crowd. Ethan fires back, pinning 2 operatives behind an overturned bus. Michael dives forward, dragging a young protester to safety. He shouts over the chaos, "Keep filming! Don't stop!" Naomi sobs inside the SUV, clutching Jayden as he covers his ears, crying. She whispers desperately, "Hold on, Michael, please hold on." The air grows thicker with smoke, gunfire, and the whir of helicopter blades. Operatives tighten their formation, pushing toward the SUV. Their commander points, shouting, "Secure the package!" Michael's blood runs cold. They're coming for Naomi and Jayden. He raises his rifle, unleashing precise bursts. 2 operatives drop, armor sparking. Ethan joins him, a wall of fire. Steele's men slam forward, shields crashing into the attackers, forcing them back. But still the helicopters loom above, their floodlights blinding, their presence suffocating. Ethan shouts over the noise, "We can't hold forever! They'll overwhelm us!" Michael snarls, "Then we change the rules." He points toward the nearest rooftop. "We take the high ground, cut their ropes, blind their birds." Steele nods sharply. "Do it. I'll hold the line." Michael and Ethan sprint through the chaos, scaling a fire escape as bullets chase them. Civilians cheer faintly, their voices ragged but defiant. Naomi watches them vanish upward, tears streaming, whispering, "Come back to me." The rooftop is a storm of rotor wash and smoke. Michael bursts out first, diving behind an air duct as an operative swings his rifle. He counters with a brutal takedown, wrenching the man's weapon free. Ethan charges another, slamming him into the gravel. "Your rope's cut, pal." He slices the line, sending it whipping into the night. Michael sights upward, firing at a helicopter's spotlight. The bulb shatters, plunging half the street into darkness. The crowd erupts with hope, their chants louder than before. Below, Steele's voice booms. "Push them back! They're faltering!" Civilians surge, not with weapons but with courage. They chant in unison, "Truth! Truth! Truth!" Their voices echo like thunder, shaking even the masked operatives. Naomi clutches Jayden, her heart pounding. "Listen, baby, they're fighting for us, for all of us." On the rooftop, Michael grapples with another operative, the fight brutal and desperate. He slams the man into a vent, knocking him out cold. Ethan yells, "Last rope! Cut it!" Michael slashes through, sending the final line crashing loose. Operatives below scramble, suddenly stranded. The helicopters hover uncertainly, their mission unraveling under the flood of live streams, chants, and the relentless resistance. Michael stands tall on the rooftop, silhouetted against the fires below. He raises his fist and the crowd erupts in cheers. For a moment, hope burns brighter than fear. But Steele's grim expression tells Michael the truth. This fight is far from finished. The helicopters circle wider now, their searchlights darting like predators across the ruined street. With their ropes cut and operatives stranded below, the pilots hover uncertainly. The chants of the crowd swell louder, defiant, drowning the machines with human voices. Michael crouches on the rooftop, chest heaving, Ethan at his side. Smoke swirls around them, lit by the orange glow of flames. Ethan wipes sweat from his brow, grinning despite the chaos. "Well, that worked. Bought us some breathing room." Michael doesn't smile. His eyes scan the sky. Breathing room won't win this. They'll adapt. Below, Steele keeps the line firm, his SEALs shielding civilians while the stranded operatives regroup, rifles still raised. Their masked commander snarls orders, clearly rattled but unwilling to retreat. Naomi peers from the SUV, clutching Jayden. Her eyes lock on Michael's silhouette above, standing like a beacon in the smoke. She whispers to her son, "See him, baby? That's your daddy. He doesn't back down." Jayden trembles, but he nods, clinging tighter. The commander below suddenly raises his hand. His operatives open fire, not at the crowd this time, but at the buildings. Glass shatters, bricks splinter, showers of debris rain down. Civilians scream as windows collapse above them. "They're flushing us out," Steele roars. "Protect the civilians!" Michael curses under his breath. "They'll bring the whole block down if it means silencing us." Ethan reloads, jaw tight. "Then we make them the story instead." Michael's eyes narrow. Time to turn the cameras back on them. He waves to the protesters below, shouting from the rooftop, "Keep streaming! Focus on them! Show the world who they are!" Phones pivot instantly, zooming in on the masked operatives firing recklessly into buildings. Streams capture civilians shielding children, Steele's men bracing against collapsing walls. The chaos that proves this isn't law enforcement, it's war against citizens. One protester shouts into her live stream, voice breaking, "They're attacking unarmed people. Look at this. Look at what they're doing to us." The chant grows again, louder. "The world is watching. The world is watching." The masked commander freezes, realizing every movement is broadcast live. He signals abruptly. Half his men retreat toward the armored truck still smoldering at the block's edge, while the rest lay down cover fire. Ethan smirks. He doesn't like the spotlight. Michael's voice is cold. "Then we keep it on him." Steele seizes the moment, rallying his SEALs. "Advance! Push them out!" His men surge, shields clashing, driving the operatives back step by step. Michael and Ethan climb down from the rooftop, hitting the ground running. Michael heads straight for Naomi, pulling the SUV door open. She collapses into his arms, clutching Jayden between them. "You're alive!" she sobs, trembling with relief. "I told you I'd come back," Michael whispers fiercely, kissing her hair. "I'll always come back." But before relief can settle, a thunderous boom shakes the ground. One of the retreating operatives has triggered explosives near the trucks. Fireballs erupt, consuming the wreckage. The shockwave slams through the street, sending civilians sprawling. Naomi shields Jayden with her body, Michael wrapping them both in his arms. Ethan hits the pavement, groaning. Steele shouts, "Get the civilians back! Secondary blasts incoming!" The crowd scrambles, panic tearing through chants. Phones still record, even as smoke and fire swallow the block. Michael lifts Naomi and Jayden to their feet. "We can't stay here. They'll level the whole street." Naomi's voice cracks. "Where do we go?" He looks to Steele. Steele's jaw tightens. "Safehouse in the industrial district. Reinforced. If we move now, we can hold until reinforcements arrive." Michael frowns. "If they want this erased, reinforcements might not come." "Then we hold anyway," Steele snaps. The convoy reforms quickly, battered but intact. Civilians pile into surviving vehicles, others follow on foot. Protesters chant shakily even through tears, their defiance refusing to die. Naomi sits in the SUV, Jayden in her lap, Michael beside them. Ethan slams the door shut, rifle still hot in his hands. Steele takes the lead vehicle, his face carved in stone. Engines roar, tires screech, the convoy surges into the night, smoke trailing like a scar across the city. But the battle has left more than wreckage behind. Inside the SUV, Naomi's eyes glisten. "Michael, how much more can we survive?" Michael holds her hand, his gaze fixed forward. "As much as it takes. Until it's finished." Ethan exhales, leaning back. "And when's that, brother?" Michael's jaw tightens. "When the people giving these orders have nowhere left to hide." Naomi shivers, sensing the storm still ahead. As the convoy speeds through empty streets, civilians stream live from every angle. Hashtags surge online, feeds explode with viewers worldwide. Millions are watching now, witnessing the smoke, the burned trucks, the masked operatives firing into buildings. The truth is out. But truth doesn't stop bullets. Above, the helicopters return, circling like vultures. One pilot radios in, his voice cold. "They're mobile. Should we engage?" A pause, then a reply, even colder. "Not yet. Track them. Their time will come." Michael senses it even without hearing. The fight isn't over. The hunters are still above. He grips Naomi's hand tighter, his other arm around Jayden. His voice is low, steady, unyielding. "They think they can break us, but they don't understand we're just getting started." Naomi leans against him, closing her eyes. Her whisper is barely audible. "Then we'll finish it together." Michael looks out the window, flames fading in the distance. And in his heart, a vow solidifies like steel. No matter how many shadows rise against us, they will never take this family. Not while I breathe. The convoy barrels through the city, engines roaring, headlights cutting through smoke-stained streets. Burned-out cars line the sidewalks, sirens wail in the distance, and above them the helicopters stalk like predators. Every second feels like the edge of a blade. Inside the SUV, Naomi clutches Jayden so tightly her arms ache. His small body trembles, but his eyes stay fixed on Michael, as if his father's presence is the only anchor holding the world together. Michael sits rigid, one hand gripping Naomi's, the other resting on his rifle. Ethan leans forward from the back seat, eyes scanning the rooftops. "Still got shadows tailing us," Not cops, not military, something in between. Michael nods grimly. Private teams, bought and paid for. Naomi whispers, "Why us? Why this much force for one family?" Steele's voice crackles over the radio from the lead vehicle. "Because you exposed them, Mrs. Carter. Tonight wasn't just about intimidation. It was about erasure. They failed to erase you. That means they'll escalate." Naomi swallows hard, her grip on Jayden tightening. The convoy finally turns into the industrial district. Empty warehouses loom like dark giants, their windows shattered, their walls scarred from years of neglect. Steele leads them toward a reinforced building at the block's end, its heavy steel doors waiting like a fortress. "Inside," Steele commands. Vehicles screech to a halt. SEALs fan out instantly, weapons up, forming a perimeter. Protesters spill out, some still clutching phones, refusing to stop filming even as exhaustion overtakes them. Michael ushers Naomi and Jayden into the safehouse first, Ethan covering their flank. The interior is cold, concrete walls lined with steel braces, stockpiled supplies stacked in corners. It smells of oil, dust, and survival. Naomi's voice quivers as she looks around. "Is it safe?" Michael answers firmly. "Safer than out there." But Ethan mutters, "For now." Steele enters last, slamming the steel doors shut. He bolts them with heavy chains, the sound echoing like a warning bell. Then he turns, face grim. "They'll come for us here. Count on it. But these walls can take a beating, and we've got enough firepower to make them regret the attempt." Michael sets his rifle down momentarily, wiping soot from his face. "How long can we hold?" "As long as we have to," Steele replies. Naomi sits on a crate, Jayden curled against her chest. For the first time all night, she feels walls between her family and the storm, but her heart knows. Walls can fall. Hours crawl. Civilians huddle together, whispering prayers, phones dimming as batteries die. SEALs rotate watch on the perimeter. Michael stays near the entrance, his body a silent sentinel, refusing to rest. Naomi approaches him quietly. Her hand touches his arm. "You haven't closed your eyes once." He shakes his head. "Can't. Not while they're out there." She looks into his weary eyes, her voice soft. "You're carrying all of us. But you're still human, Michael. Don't break before the battle's over." He exhales, leaning his forehead against hers for a moment of stolen calm. "I can't afford to break. Not while you and Jayden need me." The calm shatters with a thunderous boom. The safehouse trembles, dust raining from the ceiling. "Contact!" a SEAL shouts. Michael grabs his rifle, sprinting to the wall. Through a narrow slit, he sees headlights flood the street outside. Armored vehicles roll forward, heavier than before. Engines growl, doors slam, masked operatives pour out by the dozens. Ethan curses. "They brought an army!" Steele bellows, "Positions! Lock this place down!" Naomi pulls Jayden into the farthest corner, shielding him with her body. Her voice trembles as she whispers into his ear, "Hold on, baby. Daddy's here. Daddy's fighting." The first barrage hits, explosives slamming against steel doors, rattling the entire structure. Sparks fly, the walls groan but hold. Michael fires through a slit, dropping two operatives advancing with heavy weapons. Ethan joins him, bullets sparking off enemy armor. Steele commands like thunder. "Keep them outside! Don't let them breach!" The civilians scream but keep filming, their courage defying terror. Streams flood the internet with images of armored forces assaulting a safehouse filled with unarmed families. Suddenly, the roof shakes. Operatives climb from above, ropes slapping against concrete. Michael spins, shouting, "They're on the roof!" Ethan grabs a shotgun, sprinting up the interior stairs. Michael follows, the air heavy with gunpowder and adrenaline. They burst onto the roof just as masked figures drop down. The fight is brutal. Ethan fires point blank, blasting one attacker off the edge. Michael engages another, grappling in the dark, slamming him into the gravel until his mask cracks. But more keep coming. Their boots thud across the roof, their rifles gleaming. Ethan snarls, "They're swarming us." Michael's voice is steel. "Then we make them choke on it." Below, Steele keeps the line at the doors. "Reinforce the chains!" he bellows, even as sparks fly from cutting torches gnawing at the steel. Naomi holds Jayden close, her tears silent now, replaced with something fiercer, defiance. She looks around at the terrified civilians and whispers, "Don't stop filming. Don't let them erase this." On the roof, Michael's muscles burn as he drives another attacker to the ground. Ethan tosses him a spare mag, shouting, "Make it count!" Michael reloads, stands tall, and fires into the night. Operatives scatter, their precision breaking under relentless resistance. For a moment, the roof belongs to them, but then, another explosion rips through the lower wall. The safehouse shakes violently. Cracks spiderweb across concrete. Ethan spits dust. "They'll tear this place apart!" Michael wipes blood from his brow, eyes blazing. "Then we fight in the rubble. We don't stop. Not tonight." The safehouse groans under the assault. Dust fills the air, burning lungs, stinging eyes. The walls shake as another round of explosives detonates outside, sending fragments of concrete tumbling across the floor. Civilians scream, ducking low, clutching one another as the nightmare presses in from every side. On the roof, Michael and Ethan keep fighting like men possessed. Operatives drop from ropes, rifles blazing, boots thudding against gravel. Michael slams one into the rooftop edge, disarming him before sending him tumbling into the smoke below. Ethan fires his shotgun, the roar deafening, shredding another attacker at point-blank range. But the flood doesn't stop. "More ropes!" Ethan shouts. "They're trying to surround us." Michael rips a smoke grenade from his vest, yanking the pin. He hurls it across the roof. Thick gray smoke erupts, cloaking them in a swirling fog. Operatives cough and stumble, their goggles useless in the shifting haze. Michael growls, "Use the cover, cut them down one by one." Through the fog, he moves like a shadow, striking hard, vanishing, striking again. Ethan laughs grimly between blasts. "Man, I almost missed this chaos." Below, Steele's men brace against the steel doors. Sparks fly as cutting torches bite deeper, the chains rattling with every shudder. Steele bellows, "Hold the line!" His voice is iron, unyielding, even as sweat runs down his face. Naomi crouches in the far corner, Jayden's tiny body pressed against her chest. The boy trembles, burying his face against her shoulder, trying to block out the thunder of explosions and gunfire. Naomi strokes his hair, whispering fiercely, "Daddy's fighting. Daddy's strong. He won't let them hurt us." Her own fear burns her throat, but she refuses to let it show. Around her, civilians keep their phones raised, still streaming. Their voices tremble, but they don't stop. One whispers into her camera, "They're breaking in, but we won't stop showing the world." Suddenly, a deafening crack splits the air. Part of the wall collapses inward, chunks of concrete scattering across the floor. Operatives surge through the breach, rifles raised. "Breach!" a SEAL roars. Gunfire erupts inside the safehouse. Steele's men engage, bullets sparking against steel beams, screams echoing as chaos spills into the sanctuary. Naomi screams, shielding Jayden as stray rounds ricochet near her. Michael hears it above the rooftop fight, his heart lurching. "Naomi!" He charges for the stairwell, Ethan covering his back. They storm downward, every step shaking with the fury of battle. Inside the safehouse, Michael bursts a bolt, spurs through the smoke and dust, rifle blazing. He drops two operatives instantly, his roar echoing against concrete. "Stay away from them!" Naomi looks up through tears, clutching Jayden. Relief floods her face. "Michael!" Ethan follows, firing in controlled bursts, cutting a path through the invaders. Steele rallies his men, slamming one attacker with his shield before driving his knife home. The safehouse becomes a brutal melee. Bullets, blades, fists in the dark. Every scream feels like the last. Naomi ducks as another operative charges her corner. Michael dives, tackling him mid-sprint, slamming him into the wall with bone-shattering force. His knife flashes, swift and final. Jayden sobs, "Daddy!" Michael drops to his knees, pulling them both close for a heartbeat. "I'm here. I'll always be here." Then he rises again, fury burning hotter than exhaustion. But the enemy keeps coming. For every operative that falls, two more push through the breach. The walls shake with another explosion, dust choking the air. Ethan spits blood, panting. "We can't hold this forever," Steele snarls. "Then we hold it long enough to make them regret ever stepping in." Michael feels the tide pressing, the sheer weight of an army trying to drown them. His eyes flick to Naomi and Jayden, their faces pale in the smoke. Something inside him hardens like steel. He roars above the chaos, his voice tearing through gunfire. "You will not take this family!" He surges forward, cutting through attackers with terrifying precision. Ethan backs him, a whirlwind of firepower. Steele's men tighten formation, dragging civilians behind them, shields forming a desperate wall. The enemy falters for a moment, stunned by the ferocity. But then, the commander enters. The same masked figure from before, larger than the rest, steps through the breach. His armor gleams in the firelight, his rifle steady. His voice growls through the mask, deep and cold. "End this!" He raises his weapon. Time slows. Michael sees Naomi clutching Jayden. He sees Steele's men bracing. He feels Ethan's shoulder at his back, and he knows this is the breaking point. Michael charges before the commander can fire. They collide like titans, the rifle clattering away. Fists crash, knives flash, boots slam into concrete. The fight is savage, primal, two warriors locked in a storm of rage. Naomi screams his name, Jayden's voice piercing the chaos. "Daddy!" Michael hears them, feels them, and it fuels him. With a roar, he slams the commander against the wall, driving his blade upward. Sparks fly as steel meets steel, then blood sprays as the knife punches through the weak point in the armor. The commander gasps, choking, collapsing in Michael's grip. His mask cracks, revealing lifeless eyes. The operatives freeze, their leader gone. Michael hurls the body to the floor, standing over it like a war god, his voice raw. "Who's next?" Silence answers. For the first time, the tide shifts. The masked soldiers hesitate. Steele's men surge, driving them back toward the breach. Civilians scream in triumph, phones capturing every second. The operatives retreat, dragging wounded, stumbling through smoke into the night. The safehouse stands, but barely. Walls cracked, floor littered with bodies, survivors shaking but alive. Michael stumbles back to Naomi and Jayden, dropping to his knees. He wraps them in his arms, trembling with exhaustion. Naomi sobs into his chest. "You saved us," Jayden whispers, his small voice steady despite the fear. "I knew you'd win, Daddy." Michael closes his eyes, whispering into their hair. "For you, I'll win every time." The silence after the battle is deafening. Only the hiss of burning debris and the groans of the wounded remain inside the fractured safehouse. Dust drifts lazily through the air like ash after a firestorm. Civilians clutch one another, trembling but alive, their phones still glowing in their hands. The streams never stopped. Michael kneels in the rubble, Naomi and Jayden wrapped in his arms. His body aches, his face is bloodied, but his grip doesn't falter. Naomi presses her cheek to his chest, whispering through tears, "We survived." Michael breathes hard, his eyes blazing with exhaustion and fire. Survived, but it's not over. Ethan limps over, reloading as he speaks. "They'll regroup. You know that, right? This was a wave, not the tide." Steele stands near the breach, scanning the night beyond. His voice is gravel. "He's right. They'll send more. Bigger guns. And they won't care who's watching." Naomi looks around at the civilians, at the battered but unbroken line of people still filming. But the world is watching. That has to matter. Michael meets her eyes, his voice steady. "It matters. But not enough to stop them. Not yet." Outside, sirens wail closer. But these are different. Ambulances, fire trucks, local reporters racing toward the smoke. Steele's radio crackles with chatter. Snippets of panicked voices filter through. "Feeds going viral. Millions watching. Federal command demanding answers." Michael stands slowly, wiping blood from his jaw. They can't bury this anymore. Too many eyes. Ethan smirks through the pain. "Guess we just made prime time." Reporters arrive first, sprinting through the smoke with cameras rolling. They film the wreckage. The breached walls, the bodies of masked operatives, the survivors huddled together. Microphones thrust forward, voices overlapping. What happened here? Who are these attackers? Is this connected to the protests downtown? Michael steps forward, Naomi's hand gripping his arm. He faces the cameras, his voice raw but clear. "They came for us because we spoke the truth. They came for unarmed civilians with guns and bombs. And if we hadn't fought back, you wouldn't see us standing here now. You'd only hear their lies tomorrow." The reporters surge with questions, but Michael's words cut through louder than any of them. Steele joins him, his massive frame filling the doorway. His voice booms like command fire. "Listen to me. You've seen the evidence with your own eyes. Armed mercenaries attacked American citizens on American soil. This wasn't law enforcement. This was a hit job. And we will not rest until those who ordered it face justice." The crowd of civilians erupts in cheers. chanting again, "Justice! Justice!" Naomi clutches Jayden close, tears sliding down her face, not from fear this time, but from pride. But even as truth spreads, danger looms. In the distance, headlights appear. Not armored trucks this time, government SUVs, black and sleek, engines growling like predators. They stop just short of the firelight, doors remaining closed. Ethan mutters, "That's not good. That's the kind of quiet that means paperwork and prisons." Steele's jaw hardens. Federal suits. They're here to take control of the narrative. Michael's eyes narrow. Or to take us. The SUV's doors open. Men and women in dark suits emerge, their expressions unreadable. At their lead walks a tall official with steel gray hair, flanked by agents with earpieces. He raises his hand, his voice calm but firm. "Michael Carter, Naomi Carter, General Steele. You need to come with us." Naomi stiffens, clutching Jayden. "No, not after what we just survived. We're not going anywhere." Michael steps in front of his family, rifle still slung but ready. "Who are you with?" The man doesn't blink. "Department of Defense, Pentagon Task Force. We're here to contain this situation." Ethan spits onto the ground. "Contain? You mean bury?" The official's gaze sharpens. "If you resist, you'll only make this harder. Think of your child." The crowd surges, furious. Civilians raise their phones higher, shouting, "We saw everything! You can't take them! The world knows!" The official glances at the cameras, his jaw tightening. For the first time, his mask of composure cracks. Michael seizes the moment, stepping closer. His voice cuts like steel. "You see them?" He gestures to the civilians. "They're not going home. They're not shutting off their phones. You can't erase this no matter how deep you bury it." The official exhales slowly, calculating. Then he signals to his agents. "Stand down." The agents hesitate, lowering their weapons reluctantly. Steele leans close to Michael, his voice low. "You just forced his hand, but he won't forget that." Michael nods. "Good. Let him remember. Let them all remember." Naomi grips his hand, whispering, "What happens now?" Michael looks at Jayden, then at the burning night beyond the safehouse. "Now, we finish what they started." The protesters begin to move again, helping the wounded, raising chants that echo down the ruined streets. Streams multiply, hashtags trending worldwide. The whole globe has seen what happened tonight, and they're demanding answers. But Michael knows the truth. Exposure isn't victory. Not yet. The men in the black SUVs are only the first layer. Above them are deeper shadows, men with endless money and power, men who won't stop until his family is ash. He grips Naomi's hand tighter, Jayden resting against his chest. His voice is quiet but unbreakable. "They thought they could scare us into silence. They thought wrong." Ethan smirks faintly. "So what's next?" Michael stares into the night, the fires burning like beacons across the city. "Next, we take the fight to them." Dawn creeps over the broken skyline, painting the smoke-filled air in shades of gray and orange. The safehouse stands battered, walls fractured, but the people inside still stand. Civilians shuffle among the wounded, sharing water, tending to injuries, still filming. Their voices are raw, their eyes haunted, but their spirits are unbroken. Michael steps outside, Naomi and Jayden close behind, Ethan at his shoulder. Steele stands in the street, scanning the horizon where the black SUVs wait silently, their engines idling. The federal agents haven't left, but they haven't moved in either. Naomi whispers, "They're waiting. Watching." Michael's jaw hardens. "So are we." He lifts Jayden into his arms, kissing his forehead. "You're safe. That's what matters." Jayden clings to him. "Daddy, are the bad men gone?" Michael shakes his head slowly. "Not yet, but they will be." The tall official from the Pentagon steps forward again, his face pale under the rising sun. His voice is steady, but the weight of the cameras pressing on him is clear. "Carter, General, you've made a mess. The world is screaming for answers. Washington wants this quieted." Steele folds his arms, towering. "The only thing quieting down is the cover-up. Your mercenaries failed. Your story failed. Now the truth is louder than your lies." The official's eyes flash. "You don't understand how far this goes. You can't win against it." Michael steps forward, his voice low but powerful. "We don't need to win against all of it. We just need to shine enough light that the shadows can't hide anymore." The crowd behind him cheers, their chants swelling again. Truth, justice, truth, justice. Reporters close in, their microphones thrust forward. One asks breathlessly, Michael Carter, do you believe the government itself was behind the attacks tonight? Michael doesn't hesitate. I believe there are men who wear badges and suits, who swore oaths to protect the people and instead sold those people out. And I believe they thought they could silence us, but now the whole world knows their playbook, and we're not afraid anymore. Naomi's hand tightens on his arm. Jayden leans his head against his father's shoulder, watching the cameras with wide eyes. For the first time, Michael realizes his son isn't just afraid. He's learning what it means to fight for what's right. Steele steps forward, voice booming. You want to call this a mess? Fine. But it's a mess the people will remember. A mess that will end careers, end cover-ups, end corruption. This isn't the end of a protest. It's the beginning of a reckoning. The official looks around, eyes darting at the sea of cameras and phones. He knows he's beaten here, on this street, under the eye of the world. He signals his men. Reluctantly, the SUVs back away, melting into the smoke. The crowd erupts, roaring with victory. Naomi lets out a sob, relief flooding her. They're leaving. Michael nods, though his voice stays grim. They'll be back. Different faces, different orders. But tonight, we showed them we won't bow. As the sun climbs higher, the survivors begin to move. Protesters escort the wounded, reporters broadcast live segments, hashtags explode across every platform. Footage of the mercenaries, the helicopters, the breached safehouse, it all spreads like wildfire. Ethan lights a cigarette with shaking hands, grinning through bloodied lips. Well, brother, looks like we just made history. Michael smirks faintly. History doesn't come cheap. Naomi leans against him, exhausted but proud. But we're still here. Together. Michael pulls her close, his arm around her and Jayden. That's all that matters. Yet even in triumph, Steele's warning hangs heavy. He pulls Michael aside, his voice low. This isn't over. They'll regroup and next time they won't underestimate you. You need to decide, are you ready to fight a war that doesn't end? Michael looks at Naomi, at Jayden's tired eyes. Then he looks back at Steele. If it keeps them safe, if it keeps people free, I'll fight as long as I breathe. Steele studies him, then nods slowly. Then welcome to the front line. The crowd begins to march, leaving the ruins behind. Michael walks among them, Naomi's hand in his, Jayden on his shoulders. The chants roll like thunder down the street, echoing off broken buildings. Justice! 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 Phones rise high, cameras capture every step, and the world keeps watching. Naomi leans close, whispering into his ear. You didn't just protect us, Michael. You gave them hope. Michael's voice is soft, but it carries conviction. Hope's the only weapon they can't kill. By mid-morning, the smoke begins to thin, sunlight piercing through. The safehouse behind them is broken, but it stands as a monument now, not to ruin, but to resistance. Michael pauses, looking back one last time. He sees the cracks in the walls, the blood on the ground, the wreckage left behind. He feels the weight of it in his chest, the price they all paid. Then he turns forward toward Naomi, toward Jayden, toward the crowd that refuses to stop walking. His voice, low but unshakable, seals the vow. They tried to bury us, but instead, they planted something they'll never control. The march continues, growing stronger with every step. Around them, reporters stream, civilians chant, children watch with wide eyes. The truth can't be hidden anymore. The whole world has seen. And for Michael, for Naomi, for Jayden, the fight isn't just survival anymore. It's justice. It's freedom. It's the reckoning.